The wind on the mining moon was sharp, filled with dust and metal ash. Huge machines worked day and night, digging into the black rocks for fuel. No one cared who came or went. It was a forgotten place. A place where outlaws, mercenaries, and broken royals disappeared. The human walked slowly across the rough ground. His boots were worn. His coat had bullet holes. His name was not important anymore. He was tired of war, tired of missions, tired of people using him. But something he didn't know what pulled him to this place. She found him near the rusted fuel tanks, sitting alone with a bottle in hand. She wore a dark cloak, but her eyes burned like stars behind it. "You're not from here," she said, sitting without asking. Her voice was smooth but cold. "Neither are you," the human replied. Not even looking up. There was a moment of silence. Then she chuckled. "I have a job. Dangerous. Suicidal, maybe. But if you succeed, I'll make it worth your while." He looked at her for the first time. Her face was sharp, scarred, but beautiful in a wild way. She looked like someone who had seen too much but refused to break. "Pass," he said. She leaned closer. "Bring me back my throne, and you can have what's between my legs." The human froze. He stared at her, waiting for her to laugh. She did, but not the kind of laugh he expected. "I'm serious," she said, eyes locked on his. "I was Queen of Valhalla Prime. I was betrayed, overthrown, and hunted. Now I want it back, and I need someone crazy enough to help." He laughed once, then took a long drink. "I've done merc jobs before, but this? You're talking about walking into a system guarded by war fleets. You're human," she said. "You fight like devils. The galaxy whispers stories about your kind. I need someone like you." The man stayed quiet. Her words dug into him. He had spent years being used by others for their wars, their politics. But this was different. She wasn't offering money. She was offering power, passion, and revenge. "What's your name?" he asked finally. "Call me Lyra," she said. "I stopped using my royal name long ago." "Lyra," he repeated. "You have a plan?" She pulled out a small star map from her cloak. "This shows a secret route into my planet. I still have loyal supporters there, hidden, waiting, but we need to move fast. The longer we wait, the stronger my enemy becomes." He studied the map. His mind began to turn. The plan was insane. But the idea of storming a throne world, of turning the galaxy upside down, it made his blood run hot again. He hadn't felt this alive in years. "What's between your legs?" he said with a smirk. "Is it worth dying for?" Lyra smiled slowly. "More than you can imagine, but only if you live long enough to claim it." Suddenly, alarms sounded across the mining yard. Bounty hunters. 3 ships dropped from the clouds. They had tracked Lyra here. She stood quickly. "They found me. We have to move now." The human didn't hesitate. He grabbed his pack, pulled out his pulse rifle, and followed her. They ran through the machine yards, climbing over broken steel and ducking under cables. Blaster fire rained behind them. The bounty hunters were fast, but Lyra knew the terrain. She led him to an old launch platform hidden behind a fallen crane. A dusty ship, small but strong, waited there. "This thing still flies?" He shouted. "It's not pretty, but it'll get us to orbit," she said, firing back at the hunters. They climbed aboard. He jumped into the pilot's seat. She handled the guns. The engines roared to life as shots bounced off the hull. As the ship rose, he looked over at her. "You still sure I'm the right one for this job?" She grinned. "Oh, I'm sure. Now fly, soldier. We have a throne to steal." The ship blasted into the sky, leaving smoke and fire behind. The deal was made. The war had begun. The stars outside the ship's window moved fast, as they jumped through hyperspace. Inside, the small ship shook now and then, but the human pilot kept it steady. Beside him, Lyra sat quietly, cleaning a burn on her arm. She didn't wince. She was used to pain. "You all right?" he asked, keeping one hand on the control stick. "I've had worse," she said simply. "Once I took a laser to the stomach, and still made it through a royal ball." He raised an eyebrow. "You danced while bleeding?" "No, I poisoned a duke while bleeding." She gave him a cold smile. "We all have talents." The human leaned back and looked at her more closely. "Now, you weren't just a queen, were you? You were trained." She nodded. "Royal training includes more than smiling and waving. I was raised in a palace, but educated in war. I led fleets, and I killed those who deserved it." There was a silence between them, and she added, "Until they turned on me. My own council, my top general, even my sister." The human frowned. "Your sister?" "She didn't hold the blade," Lyra said. "But she let them in." Her fingers tightened on the armrest. He could see she wasn't just angry. She was broken inside, but hiding it under fire. "They said I was too wild, too close to humans, too unpredictable." Her voice dropped. "So they threw me out, labeled me unfit." He looked away. He had seen that before. Powerful people, fearing the strong ones with emotion and heart. "You still want the throne back because of pride?" He asked. "No," she said. "I want it back because they've turned my world into a puppet court. They kill anyone who speaks my name. My people suffer. The throne is not a chair, it's a promise." He nodded slowly. For the first time, he saw the full picture. She wasn't doing this for revenge. She was doing it because no one else would. She stood and walked to a small control panel. After a few clicks, a panel slid open. Inside was a small box. She opened it and took out a glowing pendant. "What's that?" he asked. "My key to the royal vault," she said. "Buried deep under my capital city. It holds weapons real ones, ancient armor, forgotten tech, things that could win wars." "And you trust me with this?" he asked. "No," she said. "Not yet. But if you prove yourself, maybe I will." Suddenly, a warning light flashed red. The ship was being tracked. She cursed and pulled up the scanner. A bounty drone. Fast and small. They don't give up easily. The human didn't speak. He turned the ship hard to the left, dropping it toward a nearby moon. "Hold tight," he said. "Let's see if it likes craters." The drone followed them, zipping through the air like a bug with a knife. It fired twice, missing by inches. Lyra jumped to the gunner seat and took aim. The first shot missed. The second didn't. The drone exploded in a white ball of fire just before they hit the atmosphere. Smoke filled the cabin, but the ship held. They landed rough on the moon's rocky surface. The engine hissed. "Nice shot," he said, catching his breath. "You flew well," she replied, brushing her hair back. "Looks like we're stuck here for a few hours. Engine needs cooling." The human stood and opened the back hatch. Cold wind rushed in. The moon was silent. Blue rocks stretched to the horizon. He sat on a rock outside, while Lyra stood near the ship, watching the sky. After a while, she spoke. "Why did you say yes? Why help me?" He thought about it. "Maybe I'm just tired of fighting for nothing. At least with you, it means something." She walked closer. "You don't care about rewards?" He smirked. "I didn't say that. But I don't think it's about what's between your legs anymore." She smiled. Not her usual cold grin, but a real one. Soft, dangerous. "That's good," she whispered. "Because you'll need heart, not just hands, to survive what's coming." As night fell on the quiet moon, both warriors sat in silence, looking at the stars, knowing that their war hadn't even started yet. Asterisk. The next day, their ship roared back into space. The moon had given them rest, but not peace. Now. They followed the map deeper into forbidden zones of the galaxy. Lyra's map showed a red-marked system, abandoned, lawless, and filled with old wreckage from forgotten wars. Their destination was clear, a hidden base on the dead planet Seriax, once used by her royal bloodline to store weapons of great power. She called it the Spine of the Throne. The human checked his rifle. How guarded is this place? Lyra didn't blink. It's protected by ancient systems, still alive, still deadly. As their ship neared the surface, a strange voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Unauthorized approach. You are not the monarch. Prepare to be erased. I told you, she said calmly, taking her seat. This base doesn't like strangers. Laser beams shot from the cliffs. Auto turrets lit up. The human rolled the ship hard, dodging like a ghost through the burning air. Lyra typed fast into the old ship's core. If I can reach the vault's AI, I can trigger the override. But we're going to get roasted before that. The human shouted, pulling. Hard to the left, smoke filled the cockpit. The wings were hit. Hold it steady. Lyra yelled. The ship slammed into the mountainside. Dust and fire flew up. But it didn't explode. Both of them coughed through the smoke. The human pushed open the hatch. That's the last time I let you fly blind. You survived, she sighed, smirking. That means the real test begins now. They stepped onto the cracked ground of Seriax. The base entrance stood ahead, giant stone doors with glowing symbols. Carved above was an ancient royal crest, half-dash broken dot. Suddenly, the rocks shifted. A massive four-legged guard machine, tall as a house, rose from the dust. Its voice boomed. Prove blood or perish. Lyra stepped forward and sliced her palm. She smeared her blood on a glowing panel. The machine scanned it. It paused. Then. It roared and attacked. Not enough, she yelled. My DNA was changed when I was exiled. The robot fired a beam toward her. The human jumped forward, tackling her to the ground as the blast missed them by inches. He pulled his blaster and fired straight into the machine's eye. It barely flinched. We need cover, he shouted. They ran into a small broken tunnel. Beside the cliff, just wide enough to hide. The machine stomped after them, smashing stone and sending dust flying. Inside the dark tunnel, Lyra reached into her belt and pulled out a small round device. A throne core seed, she whispered. If I throw it into its heart, it should shut it down. Then do it, the human said. They ran again, dodging fire, sliding under metal debris. The machine roared louder, faster now, sensing weakness. They reached its legs. The human shot into one joint, making the machine pause. That was her chance. Lyra leapt, her body flipping through the air, and jammed the throne core into its chest. A second passed. Then, boom. The robot froze, shook, then collapsed with a crash that echoed for miles. Silence returned. Lyra sat on the wreckage, breathing hard. The human stared at her, impressed. You weren't kidding. You were trained in war. I was. Born for it, she said. They entered the vault. Inside was a dark chamber filled with armor, weapons, and technology, glowing with lost energy. One suit stood out. It was unlike anything the human had seen. Tall, dark, almost alive in shape. This, Lyra whispered, was my father's war armor. It's coded to royal DNA, or to one marked by the throne. She turned to him. Try it. He raised an eyebrow. Me? She nodded. The system saw you bleed for me. Fight for me. It may recognize you? He stepped forward and touched. The armor. The suit lit up, blue veins of light running through it. It opened and folded around him, smooth and tight. It didn't burn. It felt right. Lyra stared in disbelief. It accepted you. The human flexed his arms. Feels like it was made for me. She smirked. Maybe fate agrees. Suddenly, her communicator beeped. Enemy ships had entered orbit. They were not alone anymore. We have what we came for, she said. But they're coming. The human pulled his helmet down. Then let's show them what happens when you wake the fire. They walked out together, queen and human ready. For the next war. Asterisk, the armor hummed softly around the human's body. It wasn't just metal. It felt alive. Each movement was smooth, powerful, natural, as if it had been waiting centuries just for him. Lyra couldn't stop staring. She had seen her father wear that armor. She had watched him bring whole armies to their knees. Now, that same armor had accepted an outsider. A human. Do you feel anything strange? She asked. He looked down at his hands. I feel like I'm no longer just me. Like something else has joined me. Good, she whispered. You'll need that power now. Suddenly, the bass rumbled. There comes sparked. A robotic voice echoed from above. This is General Roth. I know you're in there. Lyra, step out, surrender, and I'll make your death fast. Lyra's face darkened. He found us. The human checked his scanner. 6 dropships. 1 command cruiser in orbit. He brought an army. She turned toward the vault wall and pressed her hand on a hidden panel. A second doorway opened, revealing a dark hangar with 1 sleek ship inside, a royal interceptor. Can it fly? The human asked. She smiled. It's faster than anything they brought. They ran to the interceptor. Its cockpit opened, clean and untouched. Lyra jumped into the gunner seat. The human took the pilot's controls. As the hangar roof opened, sunlight hit the armor he wore. From the sky, it looked like a burning ghost was climbing into a machine made of lightning. The human launched the interceptor. It roared into the sky, breaking clouds apart. Enemy fighters saw them immediately. Visual on target. A pilot shouted. 6. Fighters turned toward them. Lyra locked in. Let's give them something to remember. The human swerved the ship sideways. Lasers flew past them. He flipped the thrusters and spun the ship in a circle mid-air. Lyra's shots found there. Mark I ship exploded. Another flew straight at them. He pulled the interceptor under it and blasted upward, splitting it in 2. Inside the enemy cruiser, General Roth growled. Send the signal. Tell the Queen's sister it's time. Back in the Royal Interceptor, Lyra picked up a new message. Her face went pale. They have my sister. They're using her to call me out. The human looked over. You still care about her? She betrayed me, Lyra said. But she's still my blood. I won't let them use her. More ships approached. It was now or never. Then we hit them where it hurts, the human said. Take me to their heart. Lyra gave coordinates. The throne tower. It's still standing, but now it's filled with Roth's guards. Perfect, he replied. Let's kick the door down. They flew low through the capital's outer skies. Buildings were cracked. Statues of Lyra were torn down, their heads missing. Soldiers spotted the interceptor and opened fire from rooftops. The human dodged with sharp turns. Lyra returned fire, clearing a path. The ship landed on the top balcony of the throne tower. Metal groaned beneath them. The human stepped out still in the glowing royal armor. He looked like a legend reborn. Guards charged at them with plasma. Spears. He met them head-on. 1 swing, 3 fell. Blasts bounced off the armor. He moved like thunderfast, brutal, unstoppable. Lyra followed, shooting down enemies from behind him. They stormed down the stairs toward the throne room. At the doors, they stopped. I never thought I'd be back here like this, Lyra whispered. You're not alone this time, he replied. She nodded. Let's finish this. They kicked open the throne doors. Inside, General Roth sat on her throne, legs crossed, holding her sister at sword point. Well, he said with a fake smile, look, who finally returned. Lyra raised her gun. Let her go, Roth chuckled. I don't think so. You see, this throne likes power, and I have it now. You have fear, the human said, stepping forward. We bring fire. The general sneered. And you bring jokes in my hall? He pressed the sword to the sister's throat. One move and she dies. The human stared at him. Then he did something unexpected. He dropped his weapon and walked forward. Roth laughed. You give up so easily? But then something changed. The armor glowed brighter. The lights in the throne room flickered. Walls shook. The armor wasn't just a weapon. It was linked to the throne itself. The throne began to reject Roth. He screamed, trying to stand, but it burned his hands. His sword dropped. Lyra rushed forward, tackled him, and punched him hard once, twice, until he didn't move. The sister sat stunned. You came back. Lyra looked at her with pain in her eyes. Don't say anything. Just live. The human walked to the throne and stood beside it. Your move, Queen. Lyra stepped forward, blood on her face, eyes full of fire. She sat. The throne glowed. And the whole palace shook with a deep, ancient sound. The queen had returned. Asterisk. The throne pulsed beneath Lyra like a living heart. Once it had rejected her when the council stripped her title. Now, as she sat with blood on her hands and fire in her voice, it welcomed her home. The room dimmed, the walls shook, and ancient. Lights lit up like stars across the stone floor. The crown above the seat glowed gold. She's returned, whispered her sister, kneeling, tears in her eyes. No more games, Lyra said coldly. Where are the rest of Roth's loyalists? Everywhere, the sister replied. He filled the city with them. He's been building armies for years. You might hold the throne now, but you're surrounded. The human, still in glowing armor, stepped forward. Then we don't wait for them. We strike first. Lyra stood from the throne. We end this in one move. She tapped into the royal network through the throne's console. Secret frequencies, rebel signals, and old warbots, everything once buried or broken, was now under her control. One command, awakened. Deep under the city, massive machines powered back on. Giant golems made of steel rose from hiding. Civilians heard the sounds echoes from the past and realized the queen was truly back. The rebellion sparked like wildfire. In the streets, people waved banners bearing her old crest. Fighters poured out of safe houses. Drones once hidden in scrapyards flew into the air. The city was no longer silent. It was rising. Roth's remaining forces panicked. His commanders shouted orders, but the tide had turned. Inside the palace, the human and Lyra walked together to the war room. We'll split the army, she said. You lead the strike team through the east. I'll go straight to the sky. Tower cut off their backup link to the fleet. You're giving me command? The human asked. You've already earned it, she said. They see you as something more than a soldier now. A symbol. He nodded. Then let's bring down the empire. They parted without words. East District, later that night, smoke filled the narrow streets. Civilians had taken up arms. Rebels hid behind barricades. Roth's soldiers tried to hold ground, but the human led the charge like fire through dry grass. Wearing the royal armor, he didn't stop. Laser fire bounced off his chest plate. He smashed open doors, tore down drones, and dragged civilians to safety between battles. One young boy looked up at him with wide eyes. Are you the king now? The human paused. No, kid. She is. I'm just the sword. Sky Tower, upper levels. Lyra climbed the final steps alone. Guards tried to block her, but she moved like a storm. Her blades flashed like light. She didn't stop until she reached the top of the command center that fed orders to Raud's fleet in orbit. 2 officers stood there, frozen when they saw her. "You're supposed to be dead," one stammered. "I was," she said. Then I got angry. She raised her pistol and fired twice. The tower fell silent. She walked to the edge of the balcony, looking down at her burning city. Smoke, fire, hope. Then she tapped the final command. Cut all ties to Raud's fleet. In orbit. The fleet lights blinked and went dark. No signals, no leadership. Just silence. Palace grounds dawned. The sun rose red over Valhalla Prime. The rebellion was everywhere now. Roth's commanders fell one by one. His soldiers dropped their weapons. The city gates, once guarded, were flung open. The people poured in, and in the middle of the palace courtyard, Lyra waited. Her royal armor was repaired, her crown now resting in her hand. When the human returned, wounded but standing, she walked toward him. "You did it," she said. "We did it," he replied. "The city is yours." She stepped closer. "And what about what I promised?" He laughed, tired. "You were half joking, weren't you?" She leaned in, voice low. "I was never joking." He froze as her lips brushed his ear. "You didn't. Just bring back my throne. You woke the part of me they tried to bury." The courtyard below them cheered louder. People screamed her name. Lyra turned and walked toward her throne once more. But this time, she didn't sit alone. She held out her hand. He took it. And together, they walked into a new age. Queen and sword, ruler and fire, 2 exiles who set the galaxy ablaze. The sky above Valhalla Prime turned gold. Smoke still rose from broken towers. Ruins glowed with fading fire. But from the center of the capital, light returned. The people had taken back their world, and their queen stood high above it all. Lyra stood in the throne hall once more. This time, she wasn't chased. She wasn't hunted. She wasn't hiding. She was home. Guards now stood at her side. Guards, not traitors, not puppets. These were the rebels who bled for her, the ones who whispered her name through the years of darkness. The doors creaked open. The human stepped in slowly. He no longer wore the royal armor. It rested behind glass now, glowing quietly. His arm was wrapped. A cut ran down his cheek, but his eyes still burned with the same fire. Lyra smiled. "You kept your word," she said softly. "You brought me home." He shrugged. "You kept yours. You said there'd be a reward." She chuckled and walked down the stairs of the throne, slow and confident. Her royal cape swayed behind her like a wave. "You've been more than a reward deserves," she said. "You were my sword, my shield, my partner." He looked away for a second. "What now?" Now, that word hung in the air like smoke after a battle. Was he meant to leave? To walk out into the galaxy again, like he always had? But Lyra wasn't finished. She stepped close, placing one gloved hand on his chest. "The throne is mine again, but I don't want to sit on it alone." He blinked. "Are you asking me to stay?" She leaned in. "I'm not asking. I'm telling you what I want." The hall fell quiet. Even the guards looked away, pretending not to hear. She whispered, "You brought back my throne, and you woke something I thought I had lost hope." He stepped back, uncertain. "I'm no prince, no royal. I was just a soldier." Lyra shook her head. "You were a storm. The galaxy won't forget what you did here. And neither will I." Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the hall. "Message from the outer colonies, my queen." A young officer rushed in with a glowing tablet. She took it and read the lines quickly. Her face turned hard. "What is it?" the human asked. "There, Already moving, she said. The other systems. They fear what I've done. What we've done. They'll come? He asked. She nodded. Yes. Not now, but soon. The stars will burn again. He smiled. Good. I was getting bored already. Lyra. Turn to the officer. Send a message to the outer systems. Tell them Valhalla has risen. And we are not alone anymore. The officer bowed and rushed off. Then she turned back to the human. I made you a promise. But it was never just about what I offered between my legs. I figured, he said, smirking. She stepped closer. It was always about giving everything. Not just my throne. Not just my body. But my future. My fight. My heart. He looked at her seriously now. And you want me there? She answered with no hesitation. I want you beside me. Not as a king. Not as a soldier. But as the one person who never saw me as a throne to win, but as a woman who refused to bow. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek dot then. He leaned in. Their lips met in the center of the throne hall. There was no applause. No music. Just silence and the sound of two warriors breathing after years of battle. Outside, the city began rebuilding. Children laughed again. Fighters dropped their weapons and held hands instead. The people had their queen, and beside her stood the human who reminded them why hope still mattered. Later that night, when stars returned to the skies, Lyra stood on the palace balcony with him. She looked at the horizon. Everything begins again. She whispered. He looked at her. Then let's make it something worth remembering.